Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Thanks for all the patience with my filming last week. You guys were terrific. I got some great compliments and not too many negatives, so I appreciate that. Anyway, it is time. I am so chomping at the bit to get into the carving on this thing. So I've tried to do as much prep on this as I can, getting prepared for anything that might happen. So one thing that I realized that, and I don't know exactly why, but one thing I realized is that on that sign that I finished up on Saturday, those little tiny letters, I think I would have done a better job if I'd had better light. So on this one, I've had this little octopus light and I've used this many times, but honestly, I just kind of forgot about it kind of thing because I'm carving most of the time outside and I think of natural light being enough, and it normally is, but the more light that you can have on that router bit, the better off you're going to be. At least that's the way it is for me. So here's what we're going to do first. I have, like I mentioned on Saturday's video, I've darkened all my lines, and basically now this pretty much matches my artwork, and I've got my artwork that's going to be right next to me the whole time. I always try and do the toughest stuff first. So I'm going to do these little tiny letters here. How big are those? I haven't even measured. Those are a little over 1/4 of an inch. Looks like about 3/8, which is pretty small. So I'm going to carve those inset, and I've got the SC50 bit in. Again, I try to prepare as much as I can. I made sure my bits are sharp, they're clean. My router base slides pretty good. Yeah, my router base is sliding pretty good on there. So I think I've prepared as much as I can. I think it's time to start routing. So I'm going to turn on my little lights here. My router's plugged in. Put on my cheaters. And let's get it done. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to probably adjust my depth a few times because I don't really know until I get into cutting it. I won't know exactly where I'm going to have it. So I'm going to start at that depth, kind of see what happens. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, so let me give you my first impressions on this stuff. I love it. So far, that everything kind of held in there, and if nothing's going to chip out there, hopefully that is going to be the most intricate that I've got here. And I tried to, if you go back and watch, you'll notice that anytime, let me find something to point with rather than my big sausage fingers. Anytime I was coming down here, you saw me come down here. Well, the reason I didn't go back up and come around and do this is because that, if you go in a clockwise direction, that's where this has, if it has a chipping tendency, that's where I would have lost this. So I would come down here, and then you saw I went this direction. On here, on the O's, and on the D, and anything that had an internal cut, if I remember right, I did everything going counterclockwise so that those middle pieces would not chip out. Anyway, it worked out for me. Actually, I do see a little spot I want to fix. That W, that first W doesn't come up quite as high. But, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix that. Let me do it right now. Now what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to put my profile bit in. I'm going to be cutting these letters. These are my next most difficult thing. I'm going to be cutting these all inset. There's a reason for that, and I'll get into it later on. But that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to switch over to my profile bit, and we'll be right back. All right, so now it is time to do these a little bit bigger letters here. Like I say, I'm going to do all of these inset. So I think I'm going to do like 3 of them, and then I'll shut the router off and then do the rest of those off camera so we won't be boring you guys to death. But let's, I'm not sure about my depth. I've got the profile bit in, whereas again, I used the 60 or the SC50. So let's see how this works. Okay, so I want to explain something to you guys. I get questions every once in a while. Why does the sawdust like pack up inside the groove? This is a perfect example. I mean, I can't think of a better example. This is the same board, but yet it packed up in here, but it didn't really pack up in here. Why is that? Well, because here is a knot. The knot is kind of, you know, this knot is circular, and it kind of, that's the outward portion of that knot. But by the time I got over to here, I'm not really in a knot. Well, it packed up here, it didn't here. So understand that it's not always the bit. It doesn't mean your bit is dull necessarily if that thing packs up. Now, fortunately, you know, if it does pack up, that's just not a problem. You just blow it out and you're good to go. Or you can take something and move that around. But anyway, it definitely carved harder in that knot area, but still it flew right through it. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these inset letters up off camera. We'll come back and move on to the next step. Okay, so I got all of that done. Oh, I just spit on the board a little bit there. You guys didn't see that, thank gosh. I had spittle going on. All right, so now this H, it was really tough for me to do, but if you look at the artwork, and I hope this is, can you see? Yep. See how the H is really kind of a jagged thing? That's tough for me to do. I'm used to following straight lines and not jagged stuff. And it was kind of fuzzy enough that I had to just kind of fake it to make it a jagged line. But anyway, that's what I came up with. But that's not the easiest thing in the world for me to do. I'd rather have a perfectly straight line or perfectly curved line, because then I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. So you say
that's not easy for you to do. You don't necessarily mean to actually carve it, but to leave it the way it's supposed to be.
Both actually, both. Yeah, because the layout was kind of, and if you guys go back and watch, the layout was kind of fuzzy and it wasn't exact. So I had to kind of just put some jags in there myself, and that's not what I'm really good at. I like following the line. Anyway, I think I made it work. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to save the boom. I'm going to save that for the very last. So what I'm going to do now, and in case I hadn't described it, this whole area, this black line right around here is going to be an island within itself. So I'm going to go and I'm going to cut all of that, cut these little accent marks, and then I'm going to move out, and then I'm going to come back and save the boom for the very last. All right, here we go.
Boom.
Boom. So, as it was cutting through here, I could actually kind of smell the resin. Vicki and I could both kind of smell the resin. So that's the first time I've cut into the resin there. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and finish this cloud up. Actually, I'll turn the camera back on. Well, I'll do it right now, actually, because this is the part that makes me a little bit more nervous. So I'm going to do from here all the way over to here on camera.
Oh.
Huh?
Sorry, I was watching you and I didn't have the camera.
Sorry. So I'm going to do this bottom part because this is a lot of resin in here. So I'm going to do this area right here, and then the rest of it we'll do off camera. So, all right, here we go. So, it looks like it held out so far, guys. That's the part that made me nervous. I've still got this part. I've got some lines in here, but cutting through that knot, you could see how it kind of bunched up down in there. But that's all going to come out. So far, so good. So I'm going to do the rest of all this cloud off camera, and then we'll come back. Okay, so here's what we're going to do next. We got that cloud all done, and then I did these little kind of accent marks in there. This is the area that worries me the most, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to cut all of it, because this, again, this is pretty much like half resin, half wood in this area. So I'm going to cut these lines here. I'm going to cut like from here to here, all of those lines. And we'll get that all done on camera, and you guys will see what happens when I see what happens. Hope for the best. Here we go. Well, guys, that was a little complicated, but I have to say everything held up pretty well. I mean, this was a lot of resin carving down here, and it solidified and stayed pretty darn solid. I think it's going to be okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish all of these lines like this all the way around off camera. Then when we come back, we can start taking some of this stuff out, because remember, everything that's black here needs to be carved away. So I'll be taking that out with probably the 90-degree bit. Anyway, so we will be back. Okay, we are done, I think, with the profile bit work. So all of my lines are pretty much carved on there, except for the boom, and I'm going to save that for next video. So this is it for this video, but if you go back and look, I think I got all my lines. I'll inspect it again just to make sure, but I think I got all my lines except for the boom, and I'm going to save that for the next video, for Wednesday's video. So I'm very confident that on Wednesday's video we'll get all the carving done and into that special element that I was telling you about that I've never done before. I'm sure that that's going to happen on Wednesday's video, and then maybe Friday we can get into the finishing and moving on. So we might get it wrapped up on Friday, I'm not sure, but at least Wednesday and Friday. And but anyway, so far I am super happy with the way it came out. All the parts that made me super nervous, I got past, and not that I'm done yet. I never feel really confident until the customer has it in their hand. That's when I feel pretty good that they like it and it reached them in good shape. Anyway, that is it, guys. Hope you guys are having a great day, or hope you have a great day. And Wednesday, we're going to keep on moving with this thing, and we'll get it wrapped up as soon as we possibly can. So hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you have any questions on this or anything else, please email me directly, Eric at, gosh, I'm stumbling over my words, Eric@makeawoodsign.com, or if you have questions for Vicky, it's Vicky with DaveSigns@gmail.com. See, I said that all in one shot. And oh yeah, if you do subscribe, when you do subscribe, click that little bell icon, because that way you'll get notified that when we put out new videos, which is like 3 times a week. The last week it was actually 4 times a week. What else? Oh, I'm on Instagram every day, Make a Wood Sign. So again, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we love you all, and I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.